come here, check this out. You would think this is factory, wouldn't you, by the looks of it? But it's not. This is a false floor for the Y62 Patrol from Dash Off-Road. And this video is about how we put it in, some tips, tricks, a few things I stuffed up along the way. But if you watch the video, it's going to be so much easier for you. And yeah, we'll show you the product. Here we go. All right, so it's upgrade time. The back of the car, this is pretty much what it looks like every day of the week. We've got, you know, prams and umbrellas and bags and stuff. And that's about it that goes in there, shopping, whatnot. But when we go away, we can't seem to fit the fridge easily in the back because, as those that have these cars know, the back here is not actually flat. When the third row is sort of folded down, but not 100%. So you try and put a fridge in there and it's like bowed up. And then there's only these like tie down points that really just don't allow for a good way to secure things in. And then obviously you've got this weird storage space for God knows what, like bits and pieces. And then if you want your jacks, stuff are under again. So we have an Anderson plug run in to the back of our car. So when we go on a trip, unfortunately what I have to do is get the battery from the other vehicle, which is a portable one you've seen in our other videos, and it gets mounted in here, just tied down, and then a fridge gets tied down. And then it's kind of lose space. Sometimes we have to we can't really put the seat up to try and hold things in. What I've gone is I've done a bit of research and I've gone and chosen this product here, Dash Off-Road. They've got a the dual lid floor, false floor for the vehicle. I'll show you what it looks like. The whole unit just comes with a bag of stuff. It's like some instructions and whatnot, some 3D mounted made up brackets. And this piece goes in the back, that area, that storage. You don't lose it. This piece goes there with some removable hatches. Now you can get it in 1 or 2. I decided to go with 2, so give me full access to the bottom here underneath once it's finished. It means I get to keep the jack as well, because I saw other brands, it was a full piece, one whole piece. I need to get under there and mount things, I have to take it up again, a whole piece up. Because this one here, it's 3 pieces. See, it's curved, actually meets the body of the vehicle. And because it comes in 3 pieces, we can ultimately, say, leave this seat in, that seat out, and just take the 3rd piece out for that seat. So I've got a seat, a flat section, the rear section accessible. So if I want to mount things underneath the false floor, because it dives off, right, you get some room under there, I can mount my gear under that one. And then if I do really need that seat, because the kids want to start bringing friends home, that kind of stuff, we can put that seat in and it doesn't affect this. Plus I get the access under here, so I can put compressor in, hose lines, that kind of stuff, just pull them out and use them. And if I decide to go down and use some sort of drawer system or whatnot, I'll just build over the top of the hatches. I said it's fine. We go away on a family trip with the caravan, I can put the fridge in here, the battery in here. I'll lose the seats, so I lose like 35 kilos. The Dash Off-Road weighs about, let's have a look here, 22 kilos. We're kind of having a little bit of weight saving there. We haven't got the additional weight of the seats, so I'll get rid of that. We also run airbags in the back for towing, so I've taken a measurement as is on factory, recorded that, so as we sort of take things in and out, when we actually have to use the airbags, we know where it has to sit correctly. That's noted down. One of the other good things too is if you are not sure about doing this yourself, you actually make a start and pull things apart, so without actually affecting the vehicle and that. So when you take the lid off, right, and you pull this bottom piece out, all you do is undo these bolts, these 2 on either side, 1 and 2, and that means that then these side panels pop up, and these pretty much pop up, and then you're half the way. Then you're just going to start with the seats. So we're going to roll the seats forward, that kind of stuff. Here we go, wish me luck. Also, when removing stuff, this plate's got to come out. A couple bolts, heads here. So just take that plate out as well. Wash the plates off. Just start working on the bolts on the seats, and there'll be a few more under here. So I have to get in under here and take the bolts off. And so you'll take off these bolts, these little covers. I don't know if you can see that, they just literally pull off like that. Now the seats are out, it'll be a good time to give it a vac and pick up all the packets of your wife's paw that she just loves so much. It's everywhere, this stuff, everywhere. All right, worked up a bit of a sweat doing that. So it's pretty easy to take out. That's really what you're left with. Got a bit of time to do a bit of a vacuum, is tidy up. Remember, with your nuts and bolts, get a couple of Glad bags, put them all in. You know where they're going to go. I'm not going to leave any in here. I'm just going to put them all with the seats. Don't know where they're going to go at the moment, probably in the roof. Get start to unboxing that and putting it in there. All right, this is the kind of stuff I love. Just had a look at the instructions. Pretty basic instructions, which is fine. We get worse from things like IKEA. Tell you exactly where to put the feet, how to do it. But down here it just says, hey, we've added a couple additional 4 holes, you know, in case you want to add this case, an ARB compressor. But that kind of stuff, and I don't know if it's those 4 over there and that one, or if it's these 4 without holes, I'm not sure, but we'll work that out when we put it together. What I think is that's just like forethought, fantastic. They've probably got their own bracket they want to put in there or something like that, but I was worried about having to drill holes and nuts and bolts in this thing and ruin it. Yeah, there they go. They've added 4 for my compressor, so one step ahead here. Looks like a bunch of feet, some sort of spacers, nuts and bolts and bits and pieces. All right, so here's the layout, right? So these brackets here, you get 4 of them. These are the 3D printed ones. And you've got these brackets, which are metal, right? So I thought they were 3D printed for some reason, but they're not, but they're metal. So these ones go here, right? All the way along. And then you get these 4 long ones, right? These 4 long ones actually go in the car. We've got to bolt them down to here. And if you look at it across that line, you'll see that they're angled, right? So you got to get the angle correct. And then when you look flat down at the back of the car, they will be a flat position. And then on the corner, right over here, there's another little one here that you've got to install yourself. So one here, they're a shorter one, you get 2 of them and one up the other end. And the confusing bit, got me for a little bit, was it says item 4, rear spacer pre-installed, right? And has a little picture of them here, 1, 2, 3. See, item 4 and nut 8, but they're not. They weren't pre-installed. They come in this bag here. So if you get thrown off, 1, 2, third one over in the end, and you get 3 little screws to screw that in. And then once we've got them all bolted in, we can start to flip them up and put them in there. So I'm going to bolt the internal brackets down first. I'm going to dig those bolts out that you took out for the seats, put them back in, 4 of them, and then bolt these in, and then we can lift the panels and chuck them in. Easy. For your viewers back home, when they say mid-mount or something like that, it's not this row here, it's this row here. One thing about 3D printed material is when you start doing it up, you can really feel starting to creak, crack under pressure. So just nip it up, don't go too tight or you'll break it. This is why they don't build submarines out of this stuff. All right, so we've gone around and screwed those pieces in, and I've gone and put in these ones, but only finger tight, right? These brackets here, finger tight, and this one's done up. I'll show you why, right? In the back here, it's got to sit on the mounts under here. It's going to sit where those mounts are, right? So I figured that I've got to get those in place and then sort of adjust it all up. But this, and see how like lovely that is, like fitted. I think I've got to put the back piece in first and then work my way forward. This is kind of where the instructions get a bit funny because they're not really showing you full install. They sort of put it together, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll just put the back bit in, then work our way forward because this has to stay in because these are removable. So I've got 3 Allen key head screws. And it looks like when you took this apart, you'll know there was a few fixing points with that metal plate that came out. So it looks like these ones go back in. So I'm just going to feel around, get them finger tight, and then do them up with the. Feel like they've gone in. All right, to mount it up underneath, looks like we're using the 4 big bolts that came out for the seats. So these ones happen to be blue for some reason, so you know which ones they are. So you don't pull them away totally. They're going to go into the mount and do up this base plate, and then I'm going to nip up the bottom pieces because there's a bit of movement in them. Right, so I put these mid-mount supports in thinking they were here, right? But it looks like, see it's sitting on top of that already, they've got to go here. So now we have to pull it all out and redo it. And we're back. Not to worry. It didn't take long actually, a couple minutes if that. Now these are installed here on this, taking support, so kind of makes sense now because it's going to support this front piece and the back piece in one hit. So once again, I've left the brackets loose underneath, so I'm just going to nip them up with the driver when this is all in place, but I do allow it to slide on the bracket backwards and forwards a bit. Just so if you can see the lip here, right, there's a bit of a staggered lip. So when we put it in, it locks in. So I'll leave those loose for now, and then once I've done the brackets here, I'll just work my way and tighten everything up and should be happy. But see how this is, obviously, it's a little bit low at the moment because we haven't put the bolts in. Got my favourite light here from Slate International. Maybe you've seen it in other videos. Mounts to your existing batteries. You just go tell them what batteries you got lights for you. All sorts of stuff. Power supply too. My favourite thing is that's power supply. All my camping stuff, that power supply is so handy. You can just run like fans for the kids and then when they're in their prams on a hot day. I even run a car fridge. So when I didn't want to put a big second battery in the car, wanted to pull it out because I need the room, but still want to take like a little like 10 or 15 litre car fridge. Fantastic. Run it all day. Take two batteries, two 5-amp batteries, 5-amp power batteries, and you can sit there and run the fridge all day long with the car off. If you haven't seen it already, check the video out. I'll try and remember to put a link above me. It's like the cheapest battery system out there for sure, 100%. So I've left all these ones loose, so I'm going to go around and do them all up now. The brackets, I just did one of each two up, just because in case I've got to tweak something, because you can sort of see it doesn't sit kind of well. Once we tighten up these, like you can watch us push it down, it's really going to start to square it all up and make it look better. So let's... So there's tons of room under here, right? I'm not going to put a battery under, but you can see the can fits quite easily under there, right? Look at that for height, okay? There's still room above it. So I reckon in that whole area, it's probably going to be a spot where I'm going to stick like spares, right, for the car, and put maybe a couple of bags in there with fan belts, air filters, that kind of stuff. So they stay with the car, they're not getting constantly thrown between vehicles. Also, my plan is to mount an air compressor underneath one of these panels. Got it sitting around over there somewhere, and have the air line running out here, maybe mounted under here. And then so I can just grab my air line out, pump up the airbags, pump up the tyres, that kind of stuff. So that's where that's going to go. One thing I noticed is when you put this in, and don't get too excited about admiring your handiwork, and you put your hand on the corner and lean, you kind of lose your balance and fall. So, well, not fall, but my can fell. So yeah, I don't know, it's a bit weird. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to do it once and that's it. But yeah, if you just put your weight in that one corner, it's a bit odd. But yeah, look at the finish. Very happy with that. That's the best thing. I can get my jack, right? There's other systems out there, and even drawer systems that people put in, right? You lose the ability to store your jack. So your jack's suddenly got to go somewhere else in the vehicle, right? Yeah, okay, maybe if you've got a big drawer system, you kind of put it in the drawer, but I've got this big void here, right? At least this way I can keep all this stuff with the car, factory, in its spot. And the other reason I wanted a second one, it was in case I decided I was going to add maybe some, I don't know if I can fit some sort of slimline battery in here. At the moment, that's our Anderson plug from the car. And I'm going to show you, in another video, I'm going to show you where I can put my fridge and my battery setup. And the idea is I can just plug this stuff in and then pull it out and go. Looks fantastic. You know what? If you really wanted those seats back in a hurry for the weekend, you could rip this out pretty quickly and put those seats back in. This has taken me a couple of hours because I'm trying to video it. I reckon I could get this seats out, give it a clean, bolt it up, put it down. I reckon I have it done in an hour. So the best thing is to get this out. So if I want to put these seats back in, just got to loosen off these 3 Allen keys, go underneath, undo those bolts. That whole panel comes out, drop the seat back in. I don't know how it's going to tie in with the back of the seat and how it looks, but I guess the seat's going to be up. It's cut on an angle and that kind of stuff. So very happy with it. Dash off-road, false floor for the Y62 Patrol. And yeah, love it. Love every bit of it, actually. It looks fantastic.